And this third verse is Ve'ahi or, and then I pass over to Rav Zion.
That's right. That's right. Thank you very much. So the first thing I'll point out in the reading is that the opening word Bereshit, as I mentioned, the sages teach that there are 70 faces to Torah, and there are four main levels of Torah exegesis, four main ways of understanding and discerning the text. There's no single word in the Torah that's limited to one meaning. Every single word in the Torah is endowed with, intrinsic meaning, deep and intrinsic meaning, right? So much depth. So the word Bereshit can denote a number of things, and I'll only go into two of them for the sake of time and moving on to cover a lot of ground. So the word Bereshit is composed of 6 letters. First and foremost, it opens up with the Hebrew letter Beit. The Hebrew letter Beit, if we go into grammar for a moment, it's acting as a preposition, right? It means in or with. The letter Beit as a prefix to a Hebrew word, not being part of the Hebrew root word, it acts as a preposition. It means in or with. So what is that? In, right, denotes something that is being filled, and with denotes something that is surrounding. So from the very first letter of the Torah, we learn something about the nature of the Creator in the created universe. And the Chazal, the sages of the oral tradition, sometimes refer to the Beit in this position as the divine paradox. What is the divine paradox? It's the idea that the Creator both dwells in the world and also exists outside of it at the same time. So the letter Beit is in, and it means with, so it refers to the divine immanence, the idea that the Creator fills the universe, and it refers to the divine transcendence, the idea that the Creator both surrounds the universe. And from the lens of a human being, that's a paradox. How can I be in the house and outside the house? So from the opening letter of the Torah, we're learning something about the immense nature, hidden as it is, of the glory of the Creator. Because what human being can said to be both inside and outside simultaneously? So the letter Beit refers to the divine paradox, this notion that the Creator both fills the world and also exists outside of it. Then you have the word that follows Beit, which is Reshit. Reshit is unique. Throughout the Proverbs, right, Mishli, King Solomon refers to wisdom as Reshit. He calls wisdom, or Chokmah, he says, Reshit Chokmah. In several places, we learn that beginning is wisdom. All throughout the Bible, we see that the order of operations is wisdom, understanding, knowledge. Wisdom, understanding, knowledge. That's the order of operations, where wisdom is always Reshit, the beginning or starting point. So an alternate way of reading this is not simply to say in the beginning, but Beit means in or with. So you can literally read this as with wisdom. Bara Elohim et ha-shemayim ve et haaretz. With wisdom, God created the heavens and the earth. That's actually something we literally read in the Psalms. The Psalms has a verse verbatim that says, God created the heavens and the earth with wisdom. By his wisdom it was created. So we're not jumping here. We're just using a deeper level of exegesis to get to points that are already made in other passages in the scripture. But I'm taking you through the mechanics of the language to show you how some of the points you're reading in Psalm, how they were arrived at and where they derive from, their point of origin. So the word Reshit alludes to wisdom. And we learn in the Bible, in the Torah, that the Torah itself is wisdom, right? We learn that because in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 18, in reference to the Torah, it's called Eitz HaChaim. The Torah is called a tree of life. We learn in Deuteronomy 6 and 25, in reference to the Torah, it says, this shall be your wisdom in the sight of the peoples. So the Torah is wisdom. So now we can also read with wisdom, or i.e. with the Torah, God created the heavens and the earth. So now we're arriving at why the sages are saying God looks inside of the Torah and creates the world, right? Because you can actually see it in the mechanics of the language, that the Creator utilizes the Torah to create the world. And what does that mean? It sounds great, right? I always tell the people in my class, saying something profound at face value, it sounds great, but it doesn't intrinsically become great until you can take it and explain it in a way that a 5-year-old can understand it, right? So I want to take you through the mechanics of the language to understand points that are made in the scriptures. Also, keep in mind that every Hebrew letter is a number. So the word Bereshit has a numerical equivalence combined of 913. Why is that remarkable or significant? Because 913 is the phrase in Hebrew, Taryag bara, Taryag bara, which means he created 613. What is that referring to? The idea that the Creator created the Torah, created the world through the 613 commandments. But as I stated, and I'm going to land here, what does that mean? Sounds great, but it's only great until we understand it. When we say that the Creator looked into the Torah and created the world, we are essentially saying that the universe is built on morality and ethics and justice. That is the foundation of the universe. This is why we read also by King Solomon, he says, Zadik Yesod Olam. Righteousness is the foundation of the universe. Morality, principles, ethics, justice is at the universe's foundation. Science, right, also has a parallel idea for this same point, right? There's an area of science known as quantum physics. There's a subset of quantum physics known as quantum mechanics. There's something in quantum mechanics which is referred to as quantum fluctuations. Quantum fluctuations is a fanciful scientific term to describe the presence of the laws that govern the physical universe and the idea that the laws that govern the universe existed before the universe comes into existence. The universe does not come into existence without there prior existing the laws that govern it. So science refers to this as quantum fluctuations, which is again a fanciful way to describe the laws of the physical world. Doesn't that sound familiar? Modern science posits that quantum fluctuations, the laws that govern the physical universe, pre-exist the universe, and they even say by a couple thousand years. Now, why is that interesting? Solomon says in Proverbs 8:30 that wisdom, or Ammon, was with the Creator as a blueprint, as an architect. And then he says, Yom, Yom, a day, a day. What is a day, a day? 2 days, wisdom or the Torah was with the Creator before he created the heavens and the earth? Well, we're talking about a time before time, right? Bereshit, because there's no sun yet. The sun is the 4th day. The sun measures a 24-hour time period. So we're not talking about a 24-hour time period. So a day can't be 24 hours in Genesis 1:1. So what are we talking about? A divine day. Something we read in Tehillim, Psalms 90, where it says, a day unto the Lord is as 1,000 years. So if 1,000 of our years are as 1 day to the eternal, then that means 2,000 of our years are like 2 days to the eternal. And this is why the sages teach that the Torah was here 2,000 years before the creation of heaven and earth. And the flip side to that is modern science posits that the quantum fluctuations, the laws that govern the physical universe, are here a couple thousand years before the universe comes into existence. All of that is encapsulated in the word Bereshit, because the letter Beit, as everyone can see on the screen, it's superimposed. It's written larger than the rest of the letters, right? We have a rule, a scribal rule, right? When a letter is enlarged, it denotes the Gimalut Chesed, right? The attribute of kindness or love. When the letters are written extremely small, it denotes Gimalut Gevura, the attribute of Gevura or restraint. So here we see that the letter Beit is enlarged, and as a number, it means 2. So the enlarged Beit alludes to the 2,000 years that the Torah was here before the creation of the heavens and the earth, and its modern scientific parallel that the laws that govern the physical universe are here a couple thousand years before the existence of the universe. Chief Rabbi?
Wow. Yeah. we covered a lot of ground, Baruch Hashem. That's very good.
Sure. Sure.
The thing is, it's saying that, like, on the points that Rav Zion brought out, it's like, when you look at it, it's like, if the Torah is talking to us versus we're reading the Torah, we're just reading the Torah. We read in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's if we're just reading it like a history book, right? But if we're reading as God's talking to us, this word Berashit is the beginning of creation, right? Like it's the idea, the word Berashit. Like, so if you have a beginning, so that means that there's an end.
Come on.
And there's a middle ground, right? So that word is the concept of Bereshit. If you read it from the standpoint that God is just putting building blocks into the world, like everything is a Lego block, right? So if you're looking at it from that standpoint, that means Bereshit itself is a building block that says, okay, well, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end, right? And then the next word, bara, create. So now the concept of creation, the idea of, maybe you can understand it as innovation. Some people understand it as bara, as in berit, as in the covenant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then you go into the frame of Elohim, right? And so this idea of a name of God. Why this name of God, right? Why this name of God versus all the other names of God? So you have this dynamic of a name of God, and you have Ed HaShemayim, and you have this idea of heavens. What does it mean, heavens? And then also this idea of earth, right? So you have this whole process of building blocks being created, and each building block, as Rav Zion is going into, is a world, right? To understand Bereshit is a world, because it's a building block. It's a whole world. It's Rashid and all these things, and the bed, and why the letter bed, and this whole thing is going on. But the point is, we're trying to evolve this understanding. We're trying to evolve this understanding of how we go into this text, because we want to learn it as the people on Mount Sinai heard the commandments, as they learned the Torah from Moshe Rabbeinu, from Yehoshua ben Nun, to the elders, right, to the prophets. We want to be in that frame of understanding the tradition. And so we have to really look at it in a critical way and say, hey, you know what? These words are all building blocks, right? The next verse is building blocks. So, like, the compliment with Rav Zion is saying, it's like, this idea, that the idea of the heavens and the earth, right? So here in the next verse, so it says Ve'haharetz hayata tovavuhu. So this in itself is a whole concept, right? This whole thing is the second verse is going into this idea of saying, like, okay, so the heavens and the earth were created, okay, this is the thing. And then so now he goes into this idea of the earth was created astonishingly dark, right? And it was dark, right? So, you can also look at it as not just the fact that we're reading about history, not only that we're reading about, a spiritual idea where God's talking to us, but we could even really look at our lives, right? Because when do we have that Bereshit moment in our lives, right? When do we have that moment when we understand that only serving the Creator is the only way we're going to benefit? And all the things that were taught to us that told us that there was side cuts and shortcuts and all these different things that we could do and benefit from God's will, when we get rid of that idea, and we accept God's truth as a total, that's our Bereshit moment.
Come on.
That Bereshit moment is when we understand that there's a heavens and an earth, right? There's a physical world and there's a heavens, and they're together. And then this idea, it progresses on, and it says, Veharis. Now, this is an interesting one. I don't know if you want to get into it.
Yes, I would love to. I know where you're going, so you can open that direction.